There are certain names in Destiny's lore that stand out, demand speculation. For years, it was Savathûn. Before that, Dredgen Yor. Now, with the pieces coming together toward Lightfall and the final shape, the community has sought answers and clues to one particular mystery: Nezarec. Welcome back to another Embrace Destiny video. Kaz PhD here, finally taking a hard look at this mysterious character. I admit, I have long avoided thinking about Nezarec. For too long, I felt like the community's passion and enthusiasm for another mystery to solve was creating a diverging thread of theories. I felt like there wasn't much to go on, and so theories, while fun, had nothing to stand on. However, Season of Plunder, of all things, finally clicked something into place for me, and the dominoes started falling. So I hope my ideas hold water, and I have no idea if they've been explored by others before, but here is me tossing my hat into the ring. So let's review what we know, what we have, and then get into my thoughts here. As always, full video transcript is in the description below, and if you'd like to join the Discord and Twitch, be part of the conversation, and watch these ideas develop in real time, those links are below as well. Come in, we'd love to have you. So, Nezarec. The first mention of him in Destiny was Nezarec's Sin, the exotic warlock helmet. The lore attached is very poetic and ambiguous, switching back and forth between describing a character who is both wicked and divine. Its lore reads: "He is that which is an end, and he shall rise again." Passage from Of Hated Nezarec, a pre-Golden Age text. He is that which is end, that which covets sin, the final god of pain, the purest light, the darkest hour, and he shall rise again. When the guiding shine fades and all seems lost, he will call to you. Fear not. All he offers is not as dark as it may seem, for Nezarec is no demon, but a fiend, arch and vile in ways unknown. He is a path and a way, one of many, and his sin, so wicked, so divine, is that he will never cower when dusk does fall, but stand vigilant as old stars die and new light blinks its first upon this faded eternity. Passage from Of Hated Nezarec. For a long time, this is all we had to go on. Some pre-Golden Age reference to Nezarec, who was hated, who sinned, but that sin was also divine, a creature of light, dark, a god of pain, all quite unclear. Cut to Season of the Haunted, in which Guardians were finding a new arc-powered glaive, Nezarec's Whisper. The flavor text of the weapon features Rolk giving someone a gift and calling them a disciple. The rest of the lore follows Eris Morn, whose investigations led her onto the Lunar Pyramid. Its lore reads: "Rise, disciple, and bear this gift with pride." Rolk, disciple of the Witness. Wisps of soul fire swirl amid the geometric growths of stasis that jut from the dusty cavern floor. The sundered remains of Hive Knights and Thrall frozen within the crystals. Detritus of the recent battle crunches under Eris's boots. Ahead, the stark angles of the Lunar Pyramid rise before her. Red phantoms hang in the air and shimmer like specks of dust against its enormity. Raising her Ahamkara bone to her lips, Eris blows across its surface as if she were extinguishing a tiny candle. The world around her blurs and bends, and then she is elsewhere. The heart of the pyramid. A veiled statue towers over Eris, vaguely feminine in form, though she is not convinced of its Aphiponian silhouette. She raises her soul fire-shrouded Ahamkara bone again. Stasis encrusts its surface, much as it had years ago when she first harnessed such power. Eris turns to inspect the vast interior of the pyramid. It is quiet. It is dead. Not unlike the one in Savathûn's throne world. Her eyes narrow. She clutches the Ahamkara bone in her hand again, and she is elsewhere. A chamber. It is cavernous. It is dark. Strange bisected statues of stratified minerals line the cathedral-like walls and culminate at the far end before a yawning opening that empties into perpetual nothingness. On the floor, a length of unidentifiable metal, caked in centuries of dust, catches her eye. A glaive. Eris lifts it into her hand. Striations of red illuminate on its surface and throb like a heartbeat. The glaive's power feels faint, distant, and yet an ember of something terrible still burns within. "Where are you?" Eris whispers into the air. There is no reply. Season of the Haunted indeed. Intriguingly, the final mission for Season of the Haunted, in which we work with Kyatul and our newfound memories to prevent Callus from wresting control of the Lunar Pyramid, specifically took place in a location known as the Chantry of the Darkest Hour. So, what do we have? From all of this, it would seem that Nezarec was a disciple, and likely the one in control of the Lunar Pyramid. But where was he? Why was he no longer here? What happened to drive the Lunar Pyramid deep within the moon? And what was Nezarec's sin? Now, in Season of Plunder, I have begun to form a theory. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't completed the third week of Plunder's story, but in chasing down the relics, some ideas clicked into place. After recovering the third relic, we learned from Drifter that, long ago, he had discovered relics of his own, fragments of bone, hair, and organic matter that smelled awful but seemed both dangerous and powerful. Later, we learned that Ido has been reviewing an old Vanguard report in which Elixni were infighting over chunks of rotten meat. She speculated that these new relics could be reliquaries, objects of potential religious importance, housing organic matter. So, who or what could this be? We have seen organic matter of creatures used as powerful objects before, usually a hive worm or pieces of bone. But the mention of hair is interesting. Building on this, my community suggested Nezarec, and that's when it all started coming together. These relics likely contain darkness-infused organic matter, so they were from someone, something. The list of darkness creatures isn't very large, though there is a lot we do not know. Always have to account for that. From Nezarec's whisper, we get the idea that Nezarec was a disciple, which would have made him a very powerful being of darkness. He's also not around anymore, as far as we know, and then there's the Drifter connection. Back during Forsaken, we gained access to a lore book, A Drifter's Gambit, in which we started to learn more about our shady new friend, from the perspective of Shin Malfur. When describing Drifter in the page Artifacts and Old Friends, Shin said, "He says he's seen the deep side of Jupiter, been to the core mines of Saturn, name drops old myths no one's heard, alluvial crux, the shift chasms below Helios, the fourth tomb of Nezarec, goes on about the idols of Lower Thule, the treasure of Exodus Prime, the solar engine of Dead Star 6. I think he's making most of it up. But he's got relics and etchings. He's got materials not of the system, odd metals, obsidian flames, thought engines, edible null cakes, and a stuffed something that looks like a rabbit bio-infused with a cephalopod. He keeps all this stuff to himself. His gets, he calls them. If they're for show, they put on a great one. But to what end? The clutter of oddities he's got shipside ain't nothing compared to what he's hauling. That big, black mass of nothing you ain't seen before. He calls it an artifact, but it's more than that. Just don't know what, exactly. He said he got far out as he's ever been. Said it was from a place cold enough to snuff out your light. I asked him, was it Vex? Hive? Cagey is all, he said no. It was just other. And it was powerful. Maybe. The fourth tomb of Nezarec. Artifacts and Relics. something powerful, something other. At the time, it felt like boasting, typical drifter throwing us off the trail of who he was, but it got me thinking. In addition, during Season of Plunder, we recovered the delicate tomb fusion rifle. Its lore, also quite poetic, reads as follows. The danger within is repulsive to us. They mistake the vessel for its contents. They confuse the pieces with the whole. They see their imprisonment as empowerment. They are hostages of their flesh, unable to see without vision, unable to hear without sound, unable to slake their thirst for fear of drowning. Their ignorance is their saving grace. Yet one among them understands in their limited fashion. They pour from one vessel to another, a welcome change, a new form, another method of gifting death. I am made finite, personal, bright and delicate to hide my true form, an intimacy. They think me contained, but I am instead diffused as vapor upon the wind. Once again, I am becoming. Now, that could be anyone, really. At first, I thought the references were interesting, how the weapon's language is referencing real-life warnings on nuclear waste sites. But of course, the idea of something being hidden within or changing form, becoming, was very enticing. So, Drifter, the fourth tomb of Nezarec, delicate tomb, relics from Season of Plunder. Why would Nezarec need several tombs? Was it because he died and rose again, as Nezarec's sin proclaimed? Or was it because he was split into pieces? Going along in this theory, we have the idea that Nezarec was destroyed, split into many pieces, which were scattered and hidden throughout the Sol system, maybe beyond. Drifter may have found a tomb. Seems so, as he has similar darkness-infused relics of organic matter. The Elixni found them long ago, and Aramis is now seeking them, at the request of the witness. Why everyone is seeking these relics is obvious. Power. But what's not so obvious is, why was Nezarec destroyed? What did that? What could do that? Nezarec had a glaive. He was a disciple, and the chantry Eris was investigating was known as the Chantry of the Darkest Hour, also referenced on Nezarec's sin. But when was the darkest hour? The collapse. Back when the Traveler had run out of places to hide, when the Witness and Black Fleet came closing in, that was when things were darkest. So, what happened? Well, from the quest for the parasite weapon, we know from Savathun's worm itself that just as the Hive were tricked by the Witness into becoming beings which sought the dark, so too did Savathun trick the Witness into not destroying the Traveler. According to the worm, Savathun projected lies and wrapped deceptions in shadow. As a result, the Witness was turned away. The Traveler and humanity survived. We know that Savathun did this because she was playing a long game. Rather than submit entirely to the Witness, she deceived it and kept the Traveler alive, hoping to play both sides somehow. But imagine you are Savathun. You serve the Witness, who has sent pyramid ships all throughout the universe searching for the Traveler. You hear from Nezarec, the disciple of one particular pyramid, that he has found the Traveler in Sol. You, or rather Savathun, wants to save the Traveler, keep more pieces on the board. So you weave some deceit, do what you do best. But what about Nezarec? Well, you could destroy him. You're likely powerful enough, though you don't quite like direct confrontation. That's one theory, that Savathun destroyed Nezarec, though the Lunar Pyramid, Nezarec's pyramid, didn't appear as destroyed as Rolk's is on the Throne World. She could have destroyed Nezarec himself and hidden his pyramid, blaming the whole thing on the Traveler. But Nezarec's sin describes him as some great betrayer. Where does that come from? One interesting theory is that Nezarec was originally gifted the light. Perhaps he was gifted the light directly by the traveler, but for some reason turned from the path and chose the dark. This would certainly mark him as a betrayer in the eyes of the light. And, well, not a good batting average for the traveler. If this theory holds, then first Nezarec turns. Later, the krill chose the deep and became the hive. However, what if Nezarec also betrayed the witness? What if he went along with Savathun's plans? Maybe he had a change of heart. Maybe he was never fully on board working with the witness. Maybe he too saw the advantage of playing a long game like Savathun. For whatever reason, maybe he allowed himself to be destroyed, broken apart, after hiding his pyramid on the moon and allowing the witness to think the fight was over. For a being of dark and potentially light, this could be like a perverse form of stasis. No, not the energy, but the idea that Nezarec could be put to sleep, basically, and come back either at a key pivotal moment, or maybe after the light and dark fight was put to rest. As I said before, the dominoes started to fall, and we're not done yet. Nezarec and Savathun hide the pyramid beneath the surface of the moon, but it might be good to guard it, no? So maybe Savathun tricked the hive into setting up camp. We know from the Books of Sorrow that Savathun basically goaded Crota into cutting his way to the Vex. Somehow he explored too recklessly and exposed the hive to the Vex. Oryx, in his disappointment, sent his son away, basically saying, "Go be a champion or don't come back." Crota sets up on the moon, perhaps at Savathun's request, and uses it as a staging ground against the forces of light. Savathun tricking Crota into setting up the moon makes sense. It follows the manipulation we have seen from her pull on the son of Oryx before. Added to that, what better way to ensure that the pyramid is kept safe and untouched than by surrounding it with hive? And how cunning and deceitful to ensure the hive have no idea what they're guarding. Perhaps they were drawn to the darkness but could not explain it. It's the perfect deterrent. Until the hive dug too greedily and deep and exposed the pyramid. And then, what started appearing? The nightmares. See, I've long believed that the nightmares were a combination of ambient darkness and a security system of sorts. That the pyramid was so dark that it just corrupted everything around it. Moon's haunted. But some of these nightmares took on a more defined quality, and they seem to be limited to the moon. I've always theorized that the nightmares are like a security system for the pyramid, and are more present now because that pyramid is exposed. Going back to Nezarec, what's the point? Why would he be so important? Why are we talking about this now? Well, if you caught my post/video on the potential path of the final shape, what I've called the grand scheme, you may have an idea. In that video, I speculated that the end of the Light-Dark saga will end with the destruction or unmaking of the ultimate beings of light and dark. I feel that the game's story will need to move on from this, and that is what we were told about the final shape. Will we lose the light and dark? I don't think so. There's been too much work involved in crafting these abilities. Plus, we are told that the light and dark are within everything. No, it seems more likely to me that the Traveler, the Witness, these beings will be removed from the game, somehow, from the story, so that we are not focusing on them anymore. I speculate when this happens, the light and dark power from them will be spread throughout the universe, perhaps raising the quality of life, the danger, the wonder of potential within the universe. And perhaps Nezarec could help make that happen. Maybe not as an ally, but an enemy of an enemy. He could help us bring down the Witness. Or he could be a guide to something beyond, a being of light and dark, what we have become, but said to be more pure. Nezarec, either directly or indirectly, could show us the way. One last thing. Beyond Light taught us one crucial thing, that Guardians can wield the darkness without the need of an artifact or relic. I've long believed the same is true of the light, that we don't need the traveler, nor our ghosts. Paracausal power does not appear to be that different on the spectrum of light and dark, and it makes sense that we may learn this ability. Perhaps even more sense if we learn of a creature that can already, or has already done so. But hey, don't worry, ghosts. You're our friends, so you can stay. Who else would open doors for us? So, let's bring this all together for the short notes. What we have now. Nezarec's sin speaks of a hated creature, maybe of light and dark. Nezarec's whisper implies that he was a disciple and seems connected to the Lunar Pyramid. Savathun tricked Crota into attacking the Vex, which got him sent away by Oryx from the Books of Sorrow. Savathun tricked the Witness to ensure the traveler's survival from the Parasite mission. My theory: Nezarec was a being of light, but turned to the dark, his first betrayal. Nezarec was made a disciple, given control of the pyramid now buried in our moon. Nezarec found and cornered the traveler just before the collapse. Savathun tricked the Witness to ensure the traveler's survival. Nezarec either was destroyed by Savathun or went along with the plan, his second betrayal. The Lunar Pyramid was buried. Savathun tricked the Hive into guarding it. Now that the pyramid is exposed, nightmares also guard it. Nezarec's pieces were spread throughout the system, either to keep him destroyed or as a way of hiding him so he could be brought back later. Drifter found pieces of him, such as the fourth tomb of Nezarec. Those pieces are being found during Season of Plunder. Nezarec could come back to either bring about the final shape or be a guide to a different path after the Light and Dark saga. Whew, what a ride. I have not been this excited about a theory in a while. I tend to hold back on theories as I worry about passion making connections that cannot hold up, but this one was fun, and I think a few points have potentially solid grounding. So what do you think? Think I'm crazy or on the right path? Feel free to poke holes in this one, but please do it gently, constructively. I don't mind being completely wrong, as I love what Bungie does and love being surprised by them. If you liked the video, please feel free to drop a like, leave a comment, share online, and hey, come hang out on Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. Links are in the description. Okay, this will be my last video for a while. I'm going on vacation and will be taking a much needed break. Perhaps something will come out in a week or two to completely unravel this theory, but that's okay. It's part of the fun. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Thank you all so very much. As always, be safe, be kind, and we'll see you all next time. Bye now.